But first, the president, again, scheduled to fly from Israel to Saudi Arabia a little bit later this morning. We'll bring you that live if it happens while we're on the air. We'll cover that throughout the day and the weekend here on Newsmax. He will meet with the Saudi Crown Prince, where he will apparently ask the Saudis to increase oil and gas production in an effort to bring down gas prices here in the U.S., ideally before the midterm elections. For more, let's welcome back former Nevada State GOP chairwoman and Newsmax contributor Amy Tarkanian, National Advisory Board member for Project 21 and radio host Christopher Arps, and best-selling author and political analyst Mark Halperin. Good morning, guys. Great to have you all on this morning. Chris, good to see you. Chris, I'd like to start with you. What are you watching for this weekend as the president gets ready to head to Saudi Arabia?
Well, the one thing that I'm going to be watching for is to see, does he bring up the murder of Khashoggi, the journalist that was murdered at the embassy? And I want to know if is he going to ask Saudi Arabia to pump more oil? The Saudi Arabians have an agreement with Russia, and they seem to be wanting to honor that agreement than trying to help out their Western allies and partners.
Amy, your thoughts on that? I think Chris brings up two very good points there. On the one hand, Joe Biden's got to go hat in hand, a la Oliver Twist, and beg for an increase in oil and gas production. On the other hand, he's going to condemn the human rights abuses from the Saudis and the murder of Jamal Khashoggi in Turkey.
Right, and that's not going to happen. He's not going to bring that up. And if he brings up any topic dealing with, human, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on my words. I didn't have enough coffee.
That's okay. We're with you.
He's not going to bring up any negativity. How about that? I think he's going to stay as positive as possible because he does need to beg. He does need to beg for some more porridge, if you will, since you said Oliver Twist. And I just think that at the end of this, we're going to end up with the short end of the stick because they have the ball. The ball's in their court, not in ours, and they know that. So I think we're going to come away by having to give more than receive.
Mark?
The story of America's role in the world over the last two decades, I think, has been a failure to have necessary leverage over Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and North Korea. And we'll see how the president can stage manage this visit to convince the world that he's got leverage and to come away with something. The United States needs stuff from Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia needs stuff from the United States. And can the president skillfully play the cards that he's got in his hand to try to come away from here with the relationship showing net positive for the U.S.? Skeptical, but that's the goal.
Yeah, Mark, the president's been trying to renegotiate and restore the Iran nuclear deal for the last 18 months with no success. Does that deal end on this trip on Monday morning? Are we talking about the end of that effort?
I don't think so. The Iranians seem to want to play this out, probably behind the scenes, continuing to develop missile capacity and nuclear capability. And I think, again, this is an area where leverage is key. The Saudis, Israelis, and the U.S. are pretty united in wanting to stop the Iranian nuclear program. Question remains, how?
Amy?
Yeah, I would agree with that. In fact, they never stopped, even with that put in place. So I think maybe they slowed down somewhat just to appease the treaty, the agreement, but it never stopped, and they're never going to stop, despite the agreement that's put into place.
Chris, let me play you a soundbite. This is the president speaking yesterday in Israel, talking about the human rights atrocities in Saudi Arabia and mentioning Jamal Khashoggi by name in Israel. Take a listen.
I always bring up human rights, but my position on Khashoggi has been so clear. If anyone doesn't understand it in Saudi Arabia or anywhere else, then they haven't been around for a while.
All right, Chris, first of all, do we see a handshake between Joe Biden and the Saudi Crown Prince?
I do not think we see a handshake. I think
he's shaking everybody else's hand. I don't understand. They said no handshake, which, by the way, that was the worst thing for the administration to do. They said, no, we're going to go there and fist pump. Joe Biden followed the rules for about 18 seconds when he got off the plane with the fist pumps. And then yesterday it was shaking everyone's hand.
2 words. Where's Fauci?
Dr.
Fauci should be denouncing this.
Fauci's, I expected him to yesterday on CNN, and instead he told everyone to wear masks inside. Chris, what do you make of that?
Well, I think once the president does go to Saudi Arabia, I don't think they're going to do the fist bump. I think he's probably going to talk to him, probably shake his hand. par for the course for this administration. More hyperbole and double talk.
Mark, here's Dr. Fauci from yesterday. Take a look.
You really should, in an indoor setting, a congregate setting, be wearing masks. It's just the appropriate thing to do to protect yourself and your family.
So here we are, Mark, 116 days away from the midterms. I know this is not your favorite topic. What do you think?
I think the Newsmax studios in Manhattan, where you currently are the epitome of a congregate setting, and I think you should be doing the show with a mask.
I'll take that under advisement, Mark. Newsmax magazine, by the way, this month summed up COVID 2.5 years later, I thought perfectly. Quote, "We now know that COVID targets the elderly, the obese, and the sickly." How much of this, Amy, this increase, there it is, that's it. We know who COVID targets.
You know what Mrs. Finnerty says?
Vaccines are available. Mark, what does Mrs. Finnerty say?
2 out of 3 ain't bad, hubby.
Vaccine and a booster? Is that what that means?
No, who it targets.
Okay. So, Amy, how much of this?
I've had it 3 times. Does that mean I'm all 3 of those?
Well,
I mean,
maybe, but how much of this is political? All of a sudden, we're seeing Dr. Fauci back out there. We're getting closer to the midterms. I call it the midterm variant.
Amy, you're none of those because you can keep getting it and you're fine.
Exactly.
Right.
Shouldn't Dr. Fauci be saying that, Mark?
I'm still alive, thankfully. And I am fully vaccinated. And if you want to wear a mask, go ahead and wear a mask. I find it very sad, though, as I'm roaming around and I still see so many people living in fear. I just wish that we would still stick to the facts, knowing that if you are going to wear a mask, it's most likely because you're not feeling well, not because you're a healthy individual. But we still have healthy people walking around on eggshells thinking that they're going to catch this and die any minute, and they're constantly wearing a mask. So I just wish that Dr. Fauci would be honest in the approach.
I just can't believe we're there again. He's on CNN telling us all to wear masks indoors. This is going to go on forever until someone puts an end to it. COVID is here to stay. It's not going away. As we've been saying for months, years, it is endemic. I think I said that a year ago. I think I said that last summer. Chris, we got to leave it there. We'll pick this back up top of the hour. I still want to get to this special guest at the White House yesterday. Literally, I thought you could have played Hail to the Chief when I saw this special guest from California at the White House when Joe Biden was in Israel. We'll get into that top of the hour. Looking forward to it. Mark Halper and Chris Arps, Amy Tarkanian, thank you.